Listen to me. The most dangerous thing in your life right now is not failure, it's distraction. Failure will teach you, but distraction will destroy you silently. Some of you aren't losing because you're weak. You're losing because you keep giving your attention to things that don't matter. And the human mind, it becomes whatever it feeds on. If you keep feeding it excuses, comfort, entertainment, you'll never see your destiny. But if you feed it vision, discipline, and purpose, you become unstoppable. The question is, what are you feeding your focus? You will never stay focused if you don't know why you started. People quit not because the work is too hard, but because their reason for doing it was too small. You can't wake up at 4 a.m. and grind when your why is just to pay a bill. Bills won't keep you awake at night. Bills won't make you run when your body says stop. You need a reason that cuts so deep into your soul that it doesn't let you rest until you answer it. That's why some people make it and others don't. Their why is survival while yours has to be legacy. The philosopher Seneca once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." That means if you know your reason, the pain, the struggle, the setbacks, they can't break you because focus doesn't come from willpower. Focus comes from vision. The reason you're distracted by social media, by parties, by comfort is because your vision is too small. If you knew that your grind today would break the chains of poverty for your entire family, would you still be scrolling? If you knew that every hour of discipline would build wealth that your children's children could inherit, would you still hit the snooze button? Listen, every great builder of wealth in history had a why that was bigger than themselves. Farmers in ancient times didn't plant because it was easy. They planted because their families would starve without the harvest. Builders didn't lift stone because they loved lifting stone. They did it because they wanted to leave behind monuments that would speak after their voices were gone. And here you are with technology, with opportunities, with access to knowledge the world has never seen before, and yet you're distracted. Why? Because your why isn't strong enough. Your why has to be so clear that it drowns out every excuse when fatigue comes, when doubt comes. Your why has to scream louder. That's how you stay focused. You can't focus on the finish line if you don't even know what race you're running. Too many people wake up and run in circles because they never define their why. But those who define it, those who write it down, those who hold it in front of their eyes every single day, they run straight, they run strong, they run until the end. The truth is, life will never give focus to the unfocused. You can't ask for clarity while living in confusion. You can't pray for wealth while chasing distractions. You can't hope for greatness while living average. If you want to stay focused, you have to build your why like a fortress around your mind. So when the world throws distractions at you, they bounce off your walls. So the question is not if you can focus. The real question is, what is your why? Because without it, you'll lose your way every time. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning when the spark goes out. Too many of you are waiting to feel like it before you move. You wake up and say, if I feel inspired, I'll go to the gym. If I feel motivated, I'll work on my dream. That's why you're inconsistent. Motivation is built on emotion, and emotions shift like the wind. Discipline is built on decision, and decisions build empires. Think about the soldier in battle. He doesn't fight because he feels like it. He fights because he's trained, because discipline has become his second nature. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." That's discipline. Rising not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. Motivation says, I'll do it when it feels right. Discipline says, I'll do it until it's done. That's why disciplined people separate themselves in wealth, in health, in legacy. The farmer doesn't wait for the perfect season to plant. He plants in faith. He works the soil. He waters the seed, not because it feels good, but because he knows the harvest will come. Discipline is sowing every day, even when the ground looks dry. Let me make it practical. The wealthy don't get there because they were motivated every day to save, invest, or build. They got there because they disciplined themselves to stay focused when everyone else was distracted. While one person spends every dollar on entertainment, the disciplined one invests. While one person scrolls for hours, the disciplined one studies for hours. The harvest doesn't come to the motivated, it comes to the disciplined. Understand this, your brain is wired to seek comfort, but your destiny demands discomfort. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you are supposed to be. It's not glamorous, it's not always exciting, but it's necessary. And here's the truth. When you master discipline, you don't need motivation anymore. You become your own engine. You don't rely on energy from the outside because you built power on the inside. Discipline is what keeps the students studying when their friends are out playing. Discipline is what keeps the builder working when the body aches. Discipline is what keeps the visionary focused when the money is slow, when the critics are loud, when the path feels lonely. Because in that moment, you're not relying on feelings. You're relying on commitment. Remember this, motivation is a visitor, but discipline is a resident. Don't build your future on something temporary. Build it on what will last. When the alarm goes off, discipline answers. When fear shows up, discipline answers. When doubt whispers, discipline answers. When doubt whispers, discipline answers. And when you look back years from now, it won't be motivation that got you there. It will be discipline. So if you want to stay focused, stop chasing the feeling and start honoring the commitment. That's where real power lives. Distractions are the silent killers of focus. They don't scream, they whisper, they don't take everything at once, they take little pieces of your destiny, one scroll, one click, one wasted hour at a time. You wonder why you don't have the results you dream about. It's not because you're not capable, it's because you've been feeding distractions more than you've been feeding your goals. And anything you feed grows. The ancient proverb says, a man cannot chase two hares at once or he will catch neither. That's exactly what distractions do. They divide your attention so you never go all in on anything. You're half studying, half scrolling, half working, half gossiping, half grinding, half daydreaming. No wonder you're frustrated. You've never given your dream your full plate, only scraps. The truth is, you don't even have a shortage of time. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. The difference is where you invest it. If you put your hours into noise, noise will pay you back with emptiness. But if you starve the noise and pour your time into vision, vision will pay you back with wealth, freedom, and legacy. That's the difference between those who make history and those who watch it on a screen. Think about a seed. You plant it, water it, and give it sunlight. But what if every day you poured more poison than water? What if every day you blocked the sun instead of letting it shine? That seed would die before it even had a chance. That's your dream. Every distraction is poison. Every wasted hour is shade over your seed. And then you wonder why nothing grows. Stop feeding poison and start feeding purpose. Let me make it plain. If you want to build wealth, you can't spend 4 hours a night watching someone else live theirs on TV. If you want focus, you can't keep your phone as your best friend. Distractions are designed to keep you entertained while your opportunities expire. Wealth doesn't grow in the soil of distraction. It grows in the soil of discipline, and focus is the water that makes it grow. I tell people all the time, the reason you're tired isn't because you work too hard. It's because you gave your energy to the wrong things. When you spend your day feeding distractions, your soul feels empty. But when you spend your day feeding your goals, even if you're physically tired, your spirit feels alive because focus fuels life. The wise say where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If your treasure is in distractions, your heart will always be restless. But if your treasure is in your goals, your heart will always be on fire. That's how you stay focused, not by accident, but by starving everything that drains you and feeding everything that builds you. So ask yourself tonight, what are you feeding and what are you starving? Because the answer to that question will always tell me where your future is headed. The reason so many people are lost is not because they don't have the ability, it's because they don't have clarity. You can't hit a target. You can't see. You can't reach a destination if you don't know where you're going. And here's the hard truth. Most people aren't failing because they lack talent. They're failing because they lack focus, and focus is impossible without clarity. The philosopher Seneca once said, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Think about that. If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter how fast you move, how hard you grind, or how much energy you give. You'll just drift. That's why some of you are exhausted. Not because you're working too hard, but because you're moving without direction. Clarity is power because it eliminates noise. When you know your mission, you don't waste time on what doesn't matter. When you know your vision, you don't fall for every distraction dressed as opportunity. Clarity keeps your eyes on the path, even when the world tries to pull you off. It's the compass in the storm, the anchor in the waves. Without it, you wander. With it, you conquer. Look at wealth builders. They don't stumble into prosperity. They have clarity about where every dollar goes, where every hour is invested, where every decision leads. That's why they multiply while others decrease. Clarity turns chaos into strategy. It turns motion into momentum. It turns dreams into blueprints. Without clarity, even the strongest will get scattered. With clarity, even the smallest steps accumulate into greatness. Let me make this real. A student who says, I want to succeed, has nothing but a vague wish. But a student who says, I will graduate with honors in engineering in 4 years, and every day I will study 3 hours minimum, that student has clarity, and that clarity gives power. Power to cut off distractions. Power to stay late when others quit early. Power to endure hardship, because the destination is already locked in. Some of you need to sit down today and write it out. What do you really want? Not what others want for you. Not what looks good online. What do you want? Because clarity doesn't come from outside. It comes from deep reflection. Once you know, you lock in and you refuse to be moved. The wise King Solomon said, where there is no vision, the people perish. Without clarity, life crumbles. With clarity, life flourishes. Don't waste another season wandering in circles. Don't let another year pass chasing smoke. Decide, define, declare, and then discipline yourself to stay aligned with that vision. Clarity is the power that makes your focus unstoppable. And when your focus is unstoppable, your future is inevitable. The world will try to convince you that everything has to happen fast, quick success, overnight fame, instant results. But the truth is, anything worth building takes time. Patience is not weakness. Patience is proof that you are focused enough to trust the process. When you are truly focused, you don't abandon the path just because it takes longer than you thought. You stay, you endure, you water the seed, even when nothing seems to be breaking the soil. The wise farmer doesn't plant today and harvest tomorrow. He plants, waters, waits, and trusts the seasons. That's what focus is. It's faith in the unseen. You might not see results today, but if you are consistent, tomorrow will reveal what today was hiding. The ancient saying goes, he that can have patience can have what he will. Why? Because patience keeps you from quitting before the breakthrough comes. Look around. So many people quit just inches from goal. They get frustrated. They lose sight and they walk away right when the tide was about to turn. But patience keeps you in the fight when others are falling out. Patience tells you, stay calm, stay steady. The vision is still alive. Without patience, focus collapses. With patience, focus multiplies. Think about wealth. It doesn't grow from impulse. It grows from compounding, from discipline, from patience. Every dollar saved, every investment nurtured, every wise decision stacked on top of the last one. That's not fast money. That's focus money. Patience transforms little into much, seeds into trees, efforts into empires. But if you keep uprooting the seed every time you don't see immediate fruit, you will never taste harvest. Here's the truth. Patience separates dreamers from achievers. Dreamers want it. Now achievers work until it comes. Patience isn't passive, it's active endurance. It's waking up every day, doing the work, even when you don't feel the reward yet. That's real focus, not just the energy to start, but the strength to stay. Let me be real with you. Some of you are exhausted because you keep comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You want their results without their patience. You see their harvest, but you ignore the years of planting. That comparison is killing your focus. Stop looking at how fast others are moving and trust the timing of your own process. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Look at the rivers. They cut through mountains, not because of force, but because of patience. That same principle applies to your goals. If you keep pressing, keep believing, keep working, time will work for you, not against you. Patience is the highest form of focus. Because when you're patient, you're not distracted by the clock. You're devoted to the cause. You understand that focus isn't about how fast you run. It's about how long you last. So don't rush the process. Trust it. Because patience is not just waiting. It's proving every day that your focus is unbreakable. The difference between those who dream and those who dominate is not talent. It's consistency. Anybody can show up once. Anybody can get excited for a week. Anybody can post about their goals and grind when it feels good, but consistency is what separates the committed from the curious. When you are focused, you don't just show up sometimes, you show up every single time. Rain or shine, tired or energized, noticed or ignored. Consistency is the secret weapon of the focused. The ancient philosopher Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That means your greatness isn't defined by what you did once. It's defined by what you do daily. Success is not about a single moment of glory. It's about a lifestyle of discipline. You can't build wealth, character, or legacy by being seasonal. Consistency is the bridge between potential and power. Think about the athletes who separate themselves from the pack. It's not just their natural ability, it's their consistency in training when nobody's watching. Think about wealth builders. It's not just the big moves, it's the daily choices, the steady habits, the refusal to break discipline. Consistency compounds. A little progress every day becomes unstoppable progress over time. That's why when you stay consistent, you leave behind the ones who only move when it's convenient. But here's the hard truth. Inconsistency kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure at least teaches you something. Inconsistency teaches you nothing because you never stay long enough to learn. You start, you stop, you restart, you quit over and over again. That cycle destroys focus. But when you lock in with consistency, you don't need motivation every day. You run on discipline. You don't need applause. You run on vision. Look at the way a river carves valleys into stone. Not because it strikes hard once, but because it flows relentlessly day after day, year after year. That's consistency. Small efforts, repeated, become forces of nature. Your focus works the same way. Every day you choose to keep moving, keep grinding, keep believing, you are carving your legacy into the rock of time. Consistency also gives you credibility. People trust the one who shows up, not the one who talks about showing up. You want to be respected? Be consistent. You want to separate yourself? Be consistent. You want to build wealth that lasts, impact that echoes, a legacy that cannot be ignored. Consistency is the price you must pay. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's consistency of character, not just action. Staying true to your values, even when it costs you. That's real focus, not just in your work, but in your life. So remember this, talent may get you attention, but consistency will earn you separation. The world is full of people who start strong and finish nowhere. Be the one who stays steady. Be the one who doesn't quit. Because focus without consistency is wasted energy, but focus with consistency, that's unstoppable. Every great vision is tested by noise. The noise of opinions, the noise of distractions, the noise of doubt, and the noise of temptation. The truth is, most people don't fail because they don't have talent or opportunity. They fail because they never learn to silence the noise. Focus is not just about what you pay attention to. It's also about what you refuse to listen to. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, stop letting the noise of people's opinions break your focus. If you are serious about your mission, you will be misunderstood, criticized, even ridiculed, but you cannot let their voices become your vision. If you're listening to every whisper around you, you'll never hear the roar of your own purpose inside you. Noise is dangerous because it disguises itself as urgency. Social media, gossip, endless distractions. They demand your time, but they don't deserve it. They trick you into believing you're busy, but busyness is not productivity. You can spend hours scrolling, hours arguing, hours reacting, and still be nowhere closer to your destiny. That's what noise does. It steals your focus, one distraction at a time. If you want to build wealth, impact, and legacy, you must protect your focus like treasure. A builder doesn't stop every time someone shouts his name. He keeps building until the vision is complete. You don't need to prove yourself to the crowd. You need to prove yourself to the calling. Eliminate the noise by choosing silence over chatter, action over reaction, discipline over distraction. Look at the eagle. It flies higher than other birds because it doesn't flap wildly at every sound. It soars with clarity, with precision, with vision. That's what focus demands. You can't rise if you're weighed down by noise. Every distraction you entertain is a delay in your destiny. Every opinion you give energy to is energy stolen from your mission. I'll tell you this, if you want to win, you have to become ruthless with your attention. That means saying no to people, no to opportunities that don't align, no to temptations that rob your future. Not every invitation deserves an RSVP. Not every conversation deserves your voice. Not every distraction deserves your eyes. Eliminating noise is not selfish, it's survival for your purpose. The ancient proverb says, a man who chases two hares will catch neither. If you keep dividing your focus between your mission and the noise, you will end up with nothing. But if you lock in, tune out the world, and give everything to the goal, the noise will fade and your results will speak louder than any voice ever could. So silence the noise. Turn down the distractions. Tune into your vision, because when you eliminate the noise, what remains is clarity, power, and unstoppable focus. Pain is the price life charges anyone chasing greatness. You cannot run from it, you cannot avoid it, and you cannot pretend it doesn't exist. But here's the difference. Most people let pain break them, while the focus let pain build them. When you are locked in on your vision, your pain becomes fuel. It becomes the very thing that gives you strength to keep going. The Roman poet Ovid once wrote, "Be patient and tough. Someday this pain will be useful to you." That's truth. Pain, when directed by focus, transforms into power. Every setback, every betrayal, every disappointment, every long night and early morning, it all becomes material for your greatness. Without focus, pain feels like punishment. With focus, pain feels like preparation. Think about the blacksmith hammering iron. The fire burns, the hammer strikes, the noise is deafening, but through that process, weak metal becomes a sharp blade. That's your life. Pain is the fire. Struggle is the hammer. Focus is what keeps you on the anvil long enough to be shaped into something sharp, strong, and unstoppable. I know it hurts when the world tells you no. I know it cuts deep when doors close in your face. I know it feels heavy when the results don't come as fast as you want. But if you can stay focused through the pain, the same struggles that tried to bury you will be the very reason you rise. Pain only has power over those who try to escape it. When you face it with focus, pain bows to your purpose. Look at the champions of history. They didn't just achieve in spite of pain. They achieved because of it. They turned heartbreak into hunger, failure into fuel, wounds into wisdom. Focus gave them the vision to see beyond the hurt. Without focus, pain blinds you. With focus, pain sharpens your vision. Let me make it plain. The same storm that drowns the distracted will carry the focus to the shore. The difference is perspective. If you waste your energy complaining about pain, you miss its lesson. If you direct your energy through focus, you master its power. That's why the greatest wealth, the greatest victories, and the greatest legacies are born out of hardship. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Pain is not your enemy. Distraction is pain. Is inevitable, but what you do with it determines everything. If you let it consume you, it destroys. If you focus it, it transforms. So when the weight feels unbearable, remind yourself, this is not punishment, this is power in disguise. When the tears fall, remind yourself, this is not the end, this is the shaping. When the road feels endless, remind yourself the pain you endure today will be the power you carry tomorrow. Because focus turns pain into power, and that power makes you unstoppable. If you want to measure a person's priorities, don't look at their words, look at their time. Time is the most valuable currency we have, more precious than gold, more fleeting than wind. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose possessions and buy new ones. But once time is gone, it is gone forever. That's why mastering your time is mastering your life. The philosopher Theophrastus once said, time is the most valuable thing a man can spend, yet most people spend it like it's endless, throwing hours away on distractions, gossip, scrolling, and procrastination. They say they want success, but their schedule testifies against them. Focus requires that you stop treating time casually and start treating it as sacred. Think about a farmer. He knows the seasons. He knows when to sow, when to water, when to reap. If he misses the timing, he misses the harvest. That's how life works. Wealth, growth, and legacy come to those who honor time, not to those who waste it. If you want to separate yourself from the masses, discipline your hours, because while they're playing with minutes, you're building with them. Here's the truth. You don't need more hours in a day. You need more focus in the hours you already have. A distracted mind can waste 12 hours and achieve nothing, but a focused mind can use 2 hours to change a destiny. That's why people with less talent but sharper time discipline often surpass those with more ability. Talent without time management is wasted potential. I'll give you an example. You say you want wealth. But are you giving wealth-building activities your prime hours or your leftovers? You say you want health, but are you carving out consistent time for it or just squeezing it in when convenient? You say you want legacy, but are you scheduling your priorities or are you letting distractions schedule you? If you don't master your time, life will enslave you to someone else's agenda. The great General Napoleon said, space we can recover, time never. Every wasted day is a lost opportunity to get closer to the vision. Stop saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is when you decide that now matters. When you take ownership of your time, you take ownership of your destiny. Focus demands that you treat every minute like seed. Plant it with intention and it will multiply. Throw it away carelessly and it will vanish into nothing. Your schedule reveals your future. If your hours are scattered, your results will be scattered. If your hours are focused, your results will be focused. So guard your time, own your time, master your time, because the one who masters time masters life, and the one who masters life becomes unstoppable. Comfort is the silent killer of dreams. It whispers, stay where you are. It's easier here. Comfort convinces you that tomorrow will give you another chance, that you don't need to push today, that average is enough. But commitment doesn't listen to comfort. Commitment says, I will show up no matter how I feel. Commitment says, I'm not negotiating with excuses. Commitment says, I'd rather sweat for my destiny than sleep on my potential. Aristotle once said, through discipline comes freedom. That's the paradox. When you commit yourself to a vision, even when it hurts, even when it costs you, you become free from regret, free from mediocrity, free from the life of what if. Comfort promises you rest, but leaves you empty. Commitment demands sacrifice, but leaves you fulfilled. Look at the athlete who trains while everyone else sleeps. Look at the student who studies when others party. Look at the builder who keeps laying bricks in the heat and in the cold. That's commitment. And over time, commitment always beats comfort, because comfort never produces greatness. It only produces regret. Your feelings cannot be the driver of your future. Feelings are temporary, fleeting, unstable. Commitment is steady, unshakable, immovable. If you let comfort dictate your choices, you will quit at the first sign of pain. But if you are anchored in commitment, you will endure storms, setbacks, delays, even betrayals, and still rise. Think of the farmer again. Rain or shine, tired or not, he goes to the field because the harvest doesn't care about his feelings. The soil doesn't wait for his comfort. It responds only to consistency and commitment. Life is the same way. Success doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It rewards the one who stays committed, no matter what. Marcus Aurelius said, a man's worth is no greater than his ambition. But I'll add this. A man's ambitions mean nothing without the commitment to see them through. Comfort kills ambition. Commitment brings it to life. Every breakthrough in history, every discovery, every masterpiece, every empire, it was built not by people who felt comfortable, but by people who chose commitment over ease. So hear me clearly. Stop negotiating with your future. Stop trading your vision for a pillow, your purpose for distraction, your calling for convenience, wealth, greatness, legacy. They do not come to the comfortable. They come to the committed. When your body says quit, commitment says keep going. When your mind says it's enough, commitment says just one more. When the world says impossible, commitment says inevitable. And that's the moment you separate from the crowd. Because comfort is cheap, but commitment is priceless. Comfort makes you fit in. Commitment makes you stand out. Comfort makes you forgettable. Commitment makes you unforgettable. So choose commitment. Every single time, because only the committed finish the race, and only the committed live a life that echoes beyond their years. So now the question is not if you can do it, but will you stay focused long enough to see it through? Life has already proven that storms will come, distractions will tempt you, and comfort will call your name. But destiny is only given to those who refuse to quit, who choose discipline over distraction, commitment over comfort, purpose over pleasure. You don't need more talent. You don't need more time. You don't need someone to hand you an opportunity. You need focus. When your eyes are locked on your why, when your mind is set on the vision, when your heart refuses to be pulled away, nothing, no man, no obstacle, no failure can defeat you. I'm telling you, your future is waiting. Your wealth is waiting. Your legacy is waiting. But it will not come to the distracted. It will not come to the half-hearted. It will not come to the comfortable. It will come to the focused. So today, make the decision, shut the door on distractions. Lock in on your vision. Give everything you have every single day, because the world doesn't remember. They remember the focus. Stay focused and finish your race.